Hi, my name's Tanishka. I have a Facebook page called The Moon Woman, which some of you may know me from. But I feel compelled to speak on this subject today, which is why I've made this video. Today is Valentine's Day, and I hope that this is watched long after Valentine's Day. But Valentine's Day is a day when we focus on love. And it seems to me that the greatest lack of love in our current modern society is that of the loss of brotherly, sisterly love. And I'm not talking about just, the siblings that you grew up with, but about seeing all men and all women as your brother, as your sister, that we are the one family. And the reason that we have kind of lost this love is that we have been bombarded constantly with film and television since the day we were born, showing men committing crimes of violence, acts of violence against each other, and women undermining each other with, gossip and emotionally, psychologically betraying behavior. And so we have grown up with this lack of trust and therefore viewing our fellow man or fellow woman as a potential threat or a competitor. And this means that we don't have the support that we would have in an ancient culture where this was a love that was fostered and nurtured through monthly practice. And that practice is coming together and sitting in circle for the women at new moon, because women are tuned to the lunar cycle to step into their feminine strengths, and men when the sun moves into a new sign every month, because that's how they step into greater and greater confidence and bravery as the hero, acknowledging the lessons of the coming astrological cycle. And so without this practice, we have become alienated from each other, and that means that we don't have the support for when things go wrong in our intimate relationships or in our family structures. We might have friends, but that's not the same as a sister or a brother, and I'll explain what I mean by that. Social space is different from somebody that you share a deep, transformative soul space with. Friendship or mateship is when we tend to discuss the events that are happening in our life or on the global stage, but we keep things to a sort of surface level so people don't get uncomfortable, like the saying, oh, too much information. Some friendships will go deeper, and that's fantastic, but sitting in circle takes it to a whole new level, because when we sit in circle, we acknowledge that we are there with the primary objective to support each other, to grow, and to face that which is hardest to see in ourselves. Maybe because we simply don't know what we don't know about ourselves, or we're in denial, or it's too painful. And so by coming together in circle, we pass a talking stick so that the energy builds. It creates a vortex. And whilst you may think you're not sitting on anything, when you go to circle, when that energy ball comes to you, up comes anything in accordance with that intent that you need to see and address if you're going to step into your fullest version of you, into your highest destiny. And so if we're not doing a practice like that, we aren't being seen regularly in our vulnerability, so we're not developing deep levels of trust with brother, sister. It may only be that when, we're in crisis that our friends see us in our vulnerability, not once a month as a practice, equally, everybody going there. So, I'm running circle training for men and women via an online course, and I've run this training for a few years now. What happened, I'd been training facilitators after running groups for 20 years, and I went away to the desert for 2012 to Uluru. and that's Ayers Rock in the middle of Australia, for those that don't know, which is a big vortex point. And so there was a big gathering happening in the desert, and I thought, oh, fantastic, we're going to do sacred ceremony, it's going to be so powerful, you know. But what I discovered was, whilst there was a gathering of people, there was no power, there was no circle, there was no cone of power, which is what happens, a spiraling up of conical energy, like a church steeple, you know, without people knowing how to share sacred space, how to sit in circle and take turns truly being seen and heard in their truth, their deepest core truth. So whilst there were bumper stickers saying, you know, one world, one tribe, what there were in fact was a lot of individual campsites and a lot of substance abuse, so people weren't present. So I suggested, okay, let's sit in circle as a practice. There was also a lot of unconscious group dynamics starting to develop. You know, the bus that I was on was, you know, had more seduction in it than a Big Brother house on wheels. So I suggested, look, you know, I think we need to bring in morning circle, since it was an intense, you know, group experience. And what I found when I invited everyone to take it in turns and say how they were feeling, everyone would say, I'm good, and pass the stick. Oh, I'm good, really happy, lovely to be here, and pass the stick. But nobody dared to really say what was going on for them at a deeper level. Yeah, to name their insecurities, their anxieties, their vulnerabilities, because nobody wanted to go there. Okay. Now, if we can't do that level of truth, that level of intimacy into me see, we haven't got a hope as a civilization. Yeah, we've got some big stuff we've got to deal with. We need to be able to speak the truth and to practice speaking the truth. And it starts with our brothers and sisters, because that's where we practice, so that when we meet somebody who is our opposite, we don't then go into putting forward this you know, persona of how we want to be seen. Instead, we stand there naked in our truth, and we have the confidence to truly be who we are, warts and all. We only get that if we practice it once a month, you know. And this practice of sitting in circle also means that our daughters and our sons, when they reach puberty, they don't just go away for a retreat and get initiated into their manhood and then just come back to life as it was and carry on as usual. They go to circle once a month after their initiation, so that they practice sitting with the men of the community, or the women of all different ages, and being one of them, contributing, sharing their opinions, their truth. And, you know, this was intrinsic in every indigenous culture around the planet. So I'm on a mission to seed as many brother-sister circles around the planet as quickly as possible. And I have trained hundreds of women in the last 3 years in nearly 30 countries through my online course. However, the men, bless them, we've only had a handful of men step forwards and do the training to start men's circles. In fact, this year we have nearly 200 women enrolled in the women's course and 2 in the men's course. So I think we can see, you know, the percentage discrepancy there. Now, to be fair to the guys, I understand why this is, as much as it saddens me. And I've had women stepping forward saying, hey, can I do the men's training? There's so many men that are in pain in my community. I want to be able to help them. But it is not the place of us as women to be leading men, okay, encircled, mothering them, doing their training for them. It is for the men to step up. However, sitting in circle is a feminine construct, okay? It is masculine to be in a hierarchical, you know, structure where there's somebody at the top and then there's degrees, if you will, of power. Whereas in a circle, power is shared, Okay, it's an equal playing field. Everyone can see everyone else, and everyone gets a say. Okay. And so this is a feminine construct. So I understand that a lot of men will go, oh, no, I'm okay. I don't really want to sit in a circle. Thanks, But also sitting in circle as a practice means reflecting upon your lesson from the last month, and it means sharing your deepest truth and your vulnerability potentially. Sharing is a feminine behavior. Reflection in order to grow one's wisdom is a feminine quality. And the fact that we meet in circle on a cyclical basis, just as life grows in an upward spiral, cycling upwards through conscious intent, by meeting at a rhythm in tune with either the lunar cycle for women or in the solar cycle for men, that is also a feminine awareness, understanding that when we attune to the natural cycles, we harness the vortex of energy and we accelerate our empowerment and our growth. Okay. If we're not doing this, unconsciously we spiral down, and our life also spirals down with it. And, relationships go down the toilet. We might achieve things on a surface level, but internally we're not growing, and so there's no real happiness. So, a lot of men, when they're invited to, say, do a course to learn how to run men's circles or to go to a men's circle, will say, nah, look, I'm good. I've got enough friends. I don't need to go to one. But people don't necessarily value, they can't, something that they haven't truly experienced firsthand. So I would like to put a shout out there. It reminds me of the film Snow White and the Huntsman, where she says, who will be my brother, when she's trying to raise men to join her, to stand beside her in overthrowing the evil empire that has kept the people in a state of fear and tyranny. And, Joan of Arc did this as well. The role of the feminine is to inspire men, and is as that receptive channel to initiate men into the ways of the mother, the ways of nature, the way of the sacred, to become sacred warriors, masters of themselves, so that they don't need to unconsciously try and prove their manhood by destroying each other, which is the unconscious masculine, and a force that is so destructive on our planet that we must stop it. So the way we do that is not through rebellion, but through creative solutions. So if you know a man who has leadership qualities within him, and he does not need to be the loudest man in the room, he does not need to be a CEO of a large corporation, he simply needs to be a man who is dedicated to speaking and embodying truth. A man who cares enough within his soul about the plight of his fellow man and our planet, and those who, the generations that come after us. A true gentleman, a man who leads from his heart, because these are the new leaders. And I invite you to please share with them this course that starts in just a few days, okay, on February the 19th. Yes, I will consider taking some late enrollments if you don't get this straight away, but I would ask that you share this with your husbands, with your male friends, with your brothers, with your fathers, your sons, your uncles, with the men that you think that would most seize this opportunity, because we need our men to stand up, to rise up and walk with us shoulder to shoulder, ushering in a new way of being, a new way of living that is connected, that is responsible and accountable, and that honors the sacred in ourselves and each other.